in school because of the engagement. Like students like had a purpose. And so it wasn't them waiting for Christmas break to get here. It was this excitement about putting on this project. Just some quick pictures of it on the next slide. Like I said, we had students that made boards. They did presentations. We had a student welcome the community into the museum. We had students that closed out the ceremony at the end of it. And really, I mean, we kind of gave them the platform and they drove it. And that was like great to see them taking that responsibility as sixth graders, for their own learning and learning presentation skills and collaboration. And we learned a ton as a staff as well, all the way to like a hard reset, like 2 weeks into it. So some data. So it's important that you understand two things. This is middle school data. Like we are all part of the middle school. And so when you're looking at these numbers, yeah, they belong to us. That's what we have control of, but we're part of the middle school. So I think it's really important to make sure that we understand that. So from our NWA math scores, we had 74.2% of the students meet their growth target. All right, 72.4%. Moving on to this and talking to Mr. Rourke, our data person, this actually number is a little bit more important because this is looking at same group of students. We have historical data on them, same group of students, whatever elementary school they were in winter of 2022 and 23, 67% of them met their growth target. Same group of students. 23, 24, now that number's up to almost 74%. So the same group of kids, like more of these students are meeting their growth targets. And lots of reasons for that we'll get into later. This table is always a little bit difficult to understand, but I put it on here on purpose just for a couple reasons. When you're looking at the bottom part of this graph, 23, 24 NWA percentile in the fall in math, and then on the right side, the winter change. If you look at those bottom categories, like in the fall, we had 13% in that low category. In the winter, we only had 5% in that category. We moved 5 kids out of that. We reduced that by like 8%. And this is moving them like a whole nother level up. And we did the same thing with the low average. We moved, 8 kids out of that area, like up to that next level. And we even increased like the number of students in that high level. So I show you this for 2 reasons. Number one, like we were moving kids out of levels, but also that pink area, the 3, 2, 1, 1, those students, we also know who those students are. And we've identified those students and we've targeted those students with like an after school program on Tuesday directly related to math. And so like, these tables and looking at this data is like beneficial for us on like a number of different levels to show the things that we're doing really well on, but then also formulating a plan for students that didn't quite make it, this time around. For reading, 52% of the students met their growth target. Same thing with showing the same group of students winter to winter. So last year, 22, 23, 43, almost 44% of these students met their growth target. And this year, 23, 24 winter, 53%. So again, like there's that increase. Same students, more kids are meeting that growth target. Now, one of the areas that we're going to be working on this semester, because math, and you guys know this as a district, math was our biggest area of struggle. And so the first semester, we were all in math. During advisory, we had a math day. Any extra time, it was math. Now we're going to start looking at reading. And so like we're doing the same thing that we were doing second semester with reading that we did with math first semester. So like looking at this, we see that we didn't move as many kids. And so it's important that now we like formulate this plan to move kids along in reading as well. Just some IXL data, you know, from where we started at like 470, now we're up over like 510 in math. Teachers have the students update the diagnostic once a week, so it's definitely being utilized in the classroom. As far as language arts, we started about 570, just below 570. We're all the way up to like 640 for IXL. Attendance data, nope, not yet. So with math groups, I did want to talk about this real quick. Krista, how am I doing? 7? Okay, all right. Just being intentional about what we're doing, right? So intentionally, like Mr. Hepner as our math teacher was looking at like IXL. Measurement was our lowest category by far. Measurement, our lowest category. And so what we did is we put students in 4 different groups. Nope, 4 different groups, low, lower average, average, high average, and high. We intentionally placed a teacher with each group, and we worked on measurement, like for 8 weeks, every Thursday. And after that 8-week period, the average score went up by 30 points. So it just shows when you're intentional about something, like good things can happen, right? And you can create that change. And, you know, as under, you know, Mr. Hepner's lead on this and how he thought we should best run this, that, you know, a lot of change, a lot of positive change happened with, you know, the support of the other teachers. Attendance, you know, we're over 90%, so attendance has been good at the STEAM Academy, you know, for the first semester and moving into the second semester. Some highlights. We had a ribbon cutting, a field trip. We had the Psyche mission. We had a big launch day. We all met in the media center and we watched the launch of the Psyche mission. And what was interesting about this for us is that, and I wonder if they're going to remember it. I don't know if I'll be around to talk to them when they're seniors there, but maybe. This mission ends when they're seniors in high school. So it might be interesting to see, like, hey, I remember in like 6th grade, like over the STEAM Academy, watching this mission launch and then, you know, seeing this. And just some quick pictures of the highlights. We do have archery after school. That picture of like RJ, that was part of our Psyche. We've had some like great field trips students have gone on. The DI up in the left-hand corner. And we went to this Mind Trekkers STEAM field trip, like first thing in the year. So I am going to turn this over to Krista.
Yes. Thank you. Good evening, everybody. So I'd like to talk to you about our parent perception data. 94% of our parents were very satisfied or satisfied with the program. 91% of the parents are likely to send their students to the STEAM Academy. To be in the 7th grade cohort, 9% were neutral. 52% of our parents would move their children to a different district if the STEAM program is unavailable for their students. And 25% were neutral. I'm sorry, I'm gonna move this, there we go. Whoops, I'm sorry, I just did something crazy. What happened, Adam? 7, I'm on 18 now, actually. So the next one. I'm hitting, but it bounced crazy. Okay. Okay, thank you. So the support that we provided for our STEAM teachers were ongoing professional development with project-based learning, because that's basically what that is our main thing that we're doing in our program. PLCs for them to talk about how their instruction is going, what kinds of things they need to tweak and change, weekly check-ins. We gave them a smartboard training so they can integrate technology with their instruction. And then we have upcoming an NGSX training, which is a national science standards for our teachers. So actually our science teacher was working with Barth last year, or years before. So now we're getting her the training for secondary. Basically the standards have changed for national science standards, so we want to make sure that she's up to date. And then we have our techie and math teacher going to the Math McCall conference. Thank you, Adam. The reasons that we feel that STEAM has been successful, or students have been successful in our program, is the teamwork that our teachers have been doing, working together, actually the community of our families and parents, their involvement. They have common prep, and voluntarily, the teachers have been meeting weekly after school, talking about the students and seeing how they can change things up. Flexibility with their schedule, consistent collaboration. They all coordinated on an advisory plan for all of the students, and then they have a shared vision, and our class sizes have been small. Thank you. So the next steps for the STEAM Academy. Current students want to continue in the STEAM program. We have support from parents and students. It's been overwhelmingly positive. The current 5th and 6th grade students have definitely shown an interest in being in the STEAM program, and current teachers want to continue to teach at STEAM. So that's exciting. So because of that, we are planning on expanding the program if approved. The STEAM Academy will be housed at the middle school on the 2nd floor. The attendees will be the current STEAM students who will now be in 7th grade, and then any other students that are interested in our program, because there are 6th graders here that are interested, and then those in the area, and then any incoming 6th grade students that would like to attend from our school district or from around the community. One thing I want to mention is that many times when people think of STEAM, they think that we take just the highest performing students, and that's not the case. We're taking students that are interested in science and technology. Not everybody is. Some people are very much interested in history and language. So those students who are interested and are showing that they're growing, they're trying, we want them to come because they will still do very well. Not everybody has to be that top performer. So we don't want to have that idea out there that we're only taking those students that are the high performers. And then hopefully our future plans are to expand it to include 6th through 8th grade students, and that'll be hopefully in the 2025-26 school year. Do you guys have any questions for us?
Thank you so much
have a
for the
question.
presentation. Anyone?
Yes.
Yes,
Go ahead.
so when you talked about small class sizes, how many students are currently enrolled in the STEAM program?
We have 62.
Okay. And thank you for this presentation. This was wonderful. I do, and I'm glad you highlighted the project-based learning and the field trips you took. I'm wondering if, and I'm just throwing this out there, if it is a possibility to extend this model to a 6 through 8 middle school, so that we have all of our students being able to take advantage of project-based learning and these extra field trips, and so that, because we know kids learn differently, and project-based is so different than just textbook and lecture. And again, these scores, the increase is incredible in our data with the academic performance. But again, it's like this supports how small class sizes and project-based learning with outside learning activities lend itself to more engagement, more excitement about education, and higher performance math and ELA. And so I commend you guys on this work. I just would like to see if it's possible to give all middle school students a equitable education with this format.
Any other questions?
All right, thank you, guys.
Thank you. Be it resolved that the Board of Education approves the February 12th, 2024 consent agenda as presented. Matters listed under the consent agenda are considered routine in nature by the Board of Education and will be acted upon by one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these items. If any member of the board or any citizen requests discussion of an item, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and will become the first item of business under the report of the superintendent portion of the agenda. A is approval of the minutes of the Board of Education, January 29, 2024 regular meeting. B, approval of the bills for payment as submitted by Dr. Maria Gitstinger in the amount of $2,820,895.
Support.
Have a motion by Wester, supported by Davis. Any discussion?
Madam President, I request that the bills for payment be removed. I have a question.
So we're amending the agenda to remove the bills for payment.
Support.
Roll call vote.
Davis?
Yes.
Piles, yes. McCarthy?
Yes.
Laster?
Yes.
Wester?
Yes.
Motion carries.
So we're under the report of superintendent. What's your question?
Yes, so
You can answer it.
nice. And I apologize, I normally send these questions, I just saw this. So one, on page, it's, I'm sorry, page 1, 2, 3 of the check register, and it is check number 230098, and it is in the amount of $11,693.87 to, and I don't want to mispronounce their name, but it was an architect firm that the board approved, I believe it was, I wanted to say December 11th, and we were asked to approve it in the event we needed them, but since there were no sinking fund projects approved, we would not be using them as of yet. And that's on there, so I'm just wondering when that changed. That was the same night we approved Lilly Law Firm for future use, but then found out that they'd been used since September. So my concern is just when, if people are being used, that just be brought out to the board so that we know it and not find it. Another one is check number 230118 in the amount of $750 for Baker Tilly. We had a company come out, and it was just one of 3 bond companies, but we were told it was just a presentation. But on the check register, it shows that a payment has been made for preparation. Not sure what that preparation is. I know we approved a law firm to do some preparation for us, but Baker Tilly was just brought in to talk to us. So, and I believe that was all on the same night. So these speakers who came in to speak, to just give us information, are now showing up on our check register.
What was the first check number? I'm sorry.
The first check number is 230098, and it's dated January 19th, in the amount of $11,693.87 for the architects. And then the other is Baker Tilly, 230118.
I got that one. Thank you.
Okay. And then my last question, Dr. Edmondson, I know per your contract, you are entitled to the $7,500 for an effective evaluation. My question is, we just don't usually see it show up on the check register. I thought it was like with your doctorate, things that get paid in certain paychecks. So I'm not saying you don't, I'm asking about that. Yep.
I'm not saying anything.
Yep.
It's different. It's incumbent upon me getting it. Okay, so if I don't get it, you don't collect on anything unless you get it. So I got it. So they send me a check.
Oh, okay. But you were paid your first one, right? Because okay. You know what I got. So, yeah, so I don't know, that's my concern, is that these companies, Lilly Law, the architecture firm, and also Baker Tilly, showed up when the board was specifically told we would not be using them till a date in the future after board approval.
Baker Tilly, I have no idea how to even answer that one. Okay, because it's not in my purview, but I couldn't tell you. I mean, seriously, I couldn't tell you. Dr. Stinger would have to be here to be able to answer that. Arisman Architect, I believe they were doing, I mean, it says Mount Pleasant, but I believe it was something about, we needed them to, I don't know if they demolished, give us information on how to demolish that building completely. To my knowledge, we don't have any other architects.
Right.
That's just all I know.
And that's what we brought them in for. But it was for in the future, if that's the way the board wanted to proceed, as opposed to selling as is, or, so I'm just concerned, because now Baker, who's using Baker Tilly? Are you saying Ms. Gistinger is? Because that might be a conflict of interest, right? So I don't want to say in an open meeting that she used them, so, okay. Yep. No, no. So move that the Board of Education approve the bills for payment as presented.
Support. We have a motion. We have a motion by Pyle, supported by Wester, to approve the bills for payment as presented.
And Dr. Edmonds, my only question on that is then can we get a list of those concerns? We have to approve them, services have been rendered, but will you get that for us for those three? Thank you.
Roll call vote.
Piles, yes. Laster?
Yes.
Davis?
Yes.
McCarthy?
Yes.
Wester?
Yes.
Motion carries.
It's me? We're good. All right, first of all, good evening to everyone. Thank you for being here, particularly the STEAM parents and students that are here to support your principal, and the STEAM staff too. Thank you for everything that you're doing. Started out as an idea, and it became a vision, and we're headed in the right direction. I'm glad to see with your leadership and the great support that you have, and the data don't lie. So we're headed in the right direction. I have a few things here that I'm excited about the future of this district. I've said it before. I'm very excited about what we're trying to do. I had somebody in the community come up to me the other day and said, hey, I need you to know basically he said there's great energy that's happening around the schools. And I said, well, I wouldn't necessarily know that, but thank you for saying that. Whether it's true or not, I appreciate hearing that some people are energized by the things that we're doing and the programming that we've been implementing. So I thank you for that. The board knows that we have a steering committee. We have 2 people on the board who are participating on that steering committee, so I thank you. I will say I was very pleased at the turnout. The fact that I had to turn people away says a whole lot for me in this district. I don't have to beg. I just ask. If you ask, I think a lot of parents in particular and community members would love to help with any school district, but school districts usually don't reach out. They don't know how. So I just want to thank those community members and those staff members on the steering committee. I can say this, that not every school is represented, and so be it. We're a district, okay? So I'm certain that their needs will be met as well, but, we're talking about the vision of the district the next 3 to 5 years. So I'm very excited to work with the steering committee and be engaged in that work. They're not the only ones. They will be reaching out to the community. I have not talked to Dr. Lipa yet because his child got married in out of the country somewhere. So he's back this week. We're going to talk about how we can do that. A few people were left off, and if I didn't get their email or Ms. Camilleri didn't get their email, then we didn't know that they were interested. But I think we have a very good representation of this community. So I'm very excited to move the district forward, which will include talking about expanding the STEAM program. I think we need to consider, I don't want to give all my ideas away here, but we need to consider a K-5, something K-5 that would support not necessarily a K-5 STEAM, but maybe a focus in science in one of our schools. I did visit 2 schools today and the principals, and I challenged them. I asked them, what makes our schools different than anybody else's? And that's my issue, that there should be. There should be. Not just about where you are in your community, that you live here, so you have to go there. What if you wanted to go somewhere else in our district? So it's my goal, and it's my vision, that we have opportunities in our elementary schools in particular that excite parents, and not leave them to have to drive their child across town if they want to have a different experience for their child. So when we get to that point, we have to figure out transportation to allow parents, if we have good programming and parents are excited about it, we need to provide transportation. So these are some of the things, and I'm not the chair of the steering committee, but I bring a whole lot of ideas, and I'm excited for this district, particularly for the next 3 to 5 years. So I wanted to at least say that. I'm going to apologize here, and I've done it before. It's just who I am. If I ever offend somebody, I definitely do not try to do that. That's never something that I'd like to do. But I will say that my parents have always told me, if you do, then you apologize from your heart. So last week, I was pretty passionate about, I was talking about the middle school, and I was talking about leadership, and I just said that, we didn't have the right person, was not there yet. You can look at the video, okay? But I apologize to some that came out the wrong way, and to that person it may have come out the wrong way too. That's never my intent, but it is my intent to lead this district and put the right people where I feel that they need to be to lead buildings. I think that one of the things that we have had happen this year, not to talk about anybody's leadership last year, but leadership matters. You can see it. You can see it in buildings. You know that leadership matters. I'm not going to apologize for that. But I will apologize if I offended anyone, because I don't like to go there. I don't like to be provoked or anything like that. And, after reflection, I feel like maybe I got like that. So I apologize to everyone in this community for that, if you felt that I did that, because that's not who I am and it was not intentional, but I apologize. I will tell you from now on, particularly, and I'll need the support of the board too, when we're talking about personnel, there's a place for that, and it's not here. So, sometimes I get pushed to say things, and it's not, nobody's trying to do it intentionally, but I shouldn't have had that conversation there. So again, I apologize to the community. Moving on, a couple of things here, and then I'll finish up. I'm very excited, I can say that my father is coming to speak here about, I forgot the name of I don't even remember the name of the speech, but I'm very excited. I mean, my dad's going to be 89 next month, and he feels that it's very important to share his experiences growing up in a segregated South. I can only imagine, with some disappointment, that, we had 2 trustees at our meet and greet. I thank Ms. Laster for being there, Trustee Laster for being there as well. But, the things that we should be at as parents and teachers and kids, sometimes we're not there. We're going to argue about, somebody tying their shoes wrong, or somebody said used the wrong verb or whatever, and we get upset. But the things that are important, like a meet and greet, we're not there. And then we're going to complain about that person the next day. So my point is, when we have these things, that may be unique and even that are going to celebrate our staff, I just ask the community to support those things. And if I'm not doing enough, then you need to tell me. I mean, I do listen. I absolutely listen to you all. If I'm not doing something, or there's something that you feel that we need to move forward, I do that. My emails go out to community members and our parents as well. So I'm very excited about Thursday and Friday for the students, who will get to hear a presentation on what it's like from somebody that's still alive to talk about what it was like to grow up in Jim Crow era. I encourage you, if you can make it as a parent, if you can't make 7 p.m. Friday night, I know it's our spring or midwinter break, then you're more than welcome to come to a presentation with the kids. I'd love to see you with the kids. It means a lot when kids get to see their parents or grandparents sitting with them to hear a presentation. So I encourage you, I promise you, as I said to my dad, I said, listen, man, you'll be fine. That's what I told him, you'll be fine. Don't worry, he's trying to create this opus magnum, this wonderful. I'm like, we're good. But if you can get your children there, and particularly you, that would be, I think it'd be a good opportunity. Yes? Yeah. Old picture, it doesn't look like that anymore, but first of all, it's at 7 p.m. for the evening event, and that's on Friday the 16th. In the student times, we have half day on Friday, so that's at the high school, so I don't know. It's not in front of me. Ms. Camilleri could share that. And on Thursday, that's the middle school, and they will be in the morning as well. You know, I told my dad I want to zap all of his energy, but he's very excited about that. And again, I go back to Secretary Piles in my conversation with you. You suggested that I do that, and I thank you for that. So, just want to thank you. And then 7 p.m. And then 7 p.m. So again, you know, as I've told some other people that are friends of mine, superintendents in other districts, I don't care if you live in Romulus. I don't care. I don't care where you live. I just think it's beneficial for a lot of our students too. They're clueless. And I would say a lot of adults are clueless. So you won't be clueless anymore. You'll hear and providing ample opportunity for you to ask questions. So, you know, I thank the community for allowing me to bring my father. So just like to say that. 2 things and I'm done. I try to be visible and provide access to all of you. I'm not always able to answer every email that comes through. Sometimes they come to me, and most of the times I try to answer them. I can't get to everything. I try as much as I possibly can. But I would just say protocol, if you have a problem with a teacher, please give the teacher the courtesy to bring it up with the teacher. Even if you're irate. If you're irate, take 24 hours to calm it down. Bring it to the teacher's attention. Secondly, if that doesn't work, then you go to the principal, bring it to the principal's attention. If that doesn't work, Dr. Jendai Gardner, could you please stand up so everybody knows who you are? She's the Director of Teaching, Learning, and Professional Development. We have Mr. Brock back there, who's the Director of Human Resources, if it gets to that, and it usually will not. And then if that doesn't work, then you come to me. And then if that doesn't work, you come to the Board of Education. Okay? So I'd certainly like to see that process, and that's my job to make certain that I educate the community on how that is, because when you complain about a teacher's, I understand, I have kids, you get fired up. If you feel that your child was wronged, you get fired up. But that's my job. As I said today, most of the people that come in here are fired up. Most of the parents that come through here are fired up, but most of them leave feeling heard, and I think that's important. So I promise you, if it gets to me, you will definitely be heard. But sometimes the number of emails are unmanageable, and I try the best that I can. So the last thing, I have, believe it or not, I have somebody that works with me who looks at my emails and things. We check tone and things like that, because I'm not the same guy I was 10 years ago. So even if you don't like my tone, just imagine what it was like 10 years ago. But I'm passionate about what I do. So I'm just going to say this because we had a conversation. You all have heard me say over and over and over that Romulus Community Schools will be the first high-performing urban school district in the United States based on student achievement, teacher expectations, parental involvement, and business and community engagement. I believe that. But at a dinner table, I was talking to my friend, and he said, you know, you make it that urban is synonymous with black. And I said, no, I don't. The United States does. That's not me. But it does. And I'm not here to hide that, okay? The majority of our students are students of color. I'm not going to hide that. That's not a bad thing. It is what it is. But also synonymous with urban is transience, behaviors, socioeconomic status. There's a whole bunch of things. So I don't want the community to feel when I say that we're going to be the first high-performing urban district that it's just about being black. It's not. Or being of color. It is not. It's all these other factors. So you put them all together, and we're an urban district, whether people want to agree to it or not. We are an urban district who will be a high-performing district if you allow me to lead the district to do it and our staff. It will happen. And to do it is going to require some cringe moments where you cringe. But I cringe. I cringed at some of the video that I saw. I cringed at night to see that. And some of the other things, whether it's me or someone else. We're doing the best that we can. With your support, I know that we can do it. And I believe it. I believe we have the right people in the right seats. And some seats have to be changed. Some people have to move off of that bus, drive in that bus, and drive another bus, or sit in the passenger seat, or get off the bus. And I don't apologize for that. I believe that we will be the first high-performing urban school district in the United States. That's it for my report. Thank you. Oh, out-of-state field trip request. And I did forget something here. I met with student council at the high school. Wonderful meeting I had with the kids. And I like that kids know who I am. Occasionally, they call me Mr. Petty. I'm like, what? Do I? No. And that's what I do. And I get to, what? No, I'm not Mr. Petty. Okay? But we had a great conversation, and it was good for you all to know that I sat with student council. I told them that we're going to change the seating, the furniture of the cafeteria. Have you ever been there? Go visit. Go visit the middle school, because I'm going to visit their student council next. It needs to feel a little bit more engaging, not so, it just feels a little bit, yes, institutionalized. That's nobody's fault. But to have the conversation with the kids was great because they recognize it too. And I told them that we have a cafeteria fund that you do have to spend money. But I'm not going to make the decision for kids. Why should I make the decision? It makes no sense. They're there every single day. So I met with them, and we're going to meet tomorrow morning. I have a second round with the kids. Their job was to share with your children, if they're there, the different renditions, what it's going to look like. They were very, very excited about it. I was excited to see the energy of the kids. And I said to them, when we can get the culture and climate right in our schools, then we can start having these discussions. We can start moving the district forward with student support. So that happened, okay? It's going to happen at the middle school too. That means the STEAM kids as well, okay? Whoever's on student council, I'm going to be meeting with them so that we can determine what they want. Not me. I care less. I eat here, okay? So I want to make certain that kids have a voice. So you're going to see that happening. And that gets me to the next thing. We have an out-of-state field trip request. The district has paid for every high school senior to go to Cedar Point, paid for, plus food. It's already done. But I do need you to know, before you clap now, let me finish, there are some things that come with that. And I want kids to know it starts now. So it's not like we're going to throw something else on them. You get suspended from now forward, you're out. Not paying. If I can't trust you to do right in your school, you think I'm going to go to Ohio? No, we're not doing that. So that's one. Can't be behind in credits. Got to at least be in credit recovery. At least be in credit recovery. Okay? No failing classes. No fights. No suspensions. I don't want to see not one. So if they meet that criteria, it's all paid for from this Board of Education. I want to thank you. It's paid for if they do what they're supposed to do. If we have high standards for kids, they will reach them. But if we have low, that's where they're going to be. So for me, if I had a free trip and you told me all I had to do is come to, oh, I forgot the last one. Got to come to school. Okay? If you're caught up with me on Tuesdays, if you're with me at Tuesday night at 6 p.m. in this building, then I know you're not going because you have an attendance problem. So I'm not going to reward you for missing school by giving you a Cedar Point trip. So I'm asking the Board of Education to support our senior class with Dr. Pachoda and Ms. Kylene Zotowski, who are the senior class advisors who have planned this trip. I think the kids are aware, and I let the advisors know what the criteria was, and I also met with student council last week, and I told them the criteria. So I hope that you support that. I want our kids to have a great time, and I know you want them to have a great time, but there are standards that come with that. So thank you so much.
Can you have someone read the motion, please?
Move that the Board of Education approves the class of 2024 out-of-state field trip to Cedar Point on May 9th, 2024. Motion number 24-021. Rationale, field trip opportunity, budget implications, ESSER funds, and transportation. Exhibits, field trip request form.
There's support.
Support.
I have a motion by Davis, supported by McCarthy. Any discussion?
I have one question.
I'm
So,
not the senior advisor, but I give it a shot.
you got it. So obviously, if they're not on track to graduate, then they're not part of the class of 2024, which is,
That's
right? This is
possible.
for the
Very
20,
possible.
class of 2024. But one concern I have in the documentation that was provided to us, there's a educational component to this.
Physics.
It's being paid, math and science, right? And it's being paid for with ESSER funds. So because of that, I guess if students are excluded, that we just make sure that, other than they're not on track to graduate. But if it's, behavioral stuff, I just want to make sure if we're using ESSER funds that everybody has, and no one's excluded, and we end up with an issue.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We'll make sure that that's right. I mean, we want all of our kids to go, but again, if you're behind in credits, you need to work on your credits. You don't need to be going to Cedar Point. But I appreciate that, so,
not, yeah.
you know.
Roll call vote, please.
Davis?
Yes.
Piles, yes. McCarthy?
Yes.
Laster?
Yes.
Wester?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is the report of the Director of Human Resources, Mr. Kevin Brock.
Sorry, Mr. Brock. Not as entertaining. HR reports are boring, I guess.
I guess so. Good evening, Board of Education. Really, the two things, as I stated at the last board meeting, we are currently working on two positions that we talked a little bit about at the last board meeting, one being an athletic director, still working on that, as well as a CTE coordinator. I got a urgent text from Dr. Edmondson the other day that we need to get on a CTE coordinator ASAP because of some aviation changes that are happening and some opportunities that we may have as a district to jump on some aviation opportunities, but we need somebody to coordinate those efforts. So currently working on those. The two action items I have before you this evening to vote on are the two action items, or the two items that we presented, Dr. Gardner and I presented on last board meeting, are the two positions at the high school, the math and reading interventionist.
Can I have someone please read the first motion?
Move that the Board of Education approves the creation of a reading interventionist position for Romulus High School for the 2023-2024 school year. Motion number 24-022. Rationale, personnel recommendation, budget implications, 21H, RAG, 31A. Exhibits, job description.
Support.
We have a motion by Davis, supported by McCarthy. Any discussion? Roll call vote.
I have a question, Madam President. Is this, okay, so I know that we had approved two COSA positions for ELA and for math. So how does this differ from those? And also this reads that it is part of the REA, but, and it's grant funded, but will these, let me rephrase, I'm sorry. This says for the, this school year for 23-24. But if it is an REA position, union positions don't just end at the end of a school year. So how, can you explain that? Because I don't understand, I don't know. I'm not saying it's not, but if you could help.
So to answer your first question, the math and reading COSA are elementary positions. Those are funded by the ISD. Those have been ongoing positions that are funded by the ISD. COSA stands for Coach on Special Assignment. The answer to your other question is we decided to make them part of the REA in case they do get eliminated, these positions fall out of the grants that are mentioned, because we're always going to need math and reading people at the high school. We currently are in need of some positions at the high school, and if those positions were to go away, then we have those staff already built in. So but we're not anticipating them going away as long as we are part of a CSI program.
Okay, and then, so, and I asked this last time, and I know we had a different kind of a meeting, but with these salaries, is this the salary for these positions, or will it be per the REA
It's for
salary
the
schedule?
REA. Those are the salaries that have been placed in the grant. So the grant, you have to allocate funds. So that's why we added 31A to the mix, because we have 31A dollars that can help supplant those monies. So
Okay.
those salaries that you see there are what's in the two grants listed, the 21H and the RAG grant. But the additional monies, if we needed the additional monies, would come out of 31A.
Okay, and I'm going to ask a question that I've been asked, and I'm not quite sure how to answer it, but I've been asked this. The Board of Education has this school year approved an increased number of higher positions. We have a curriculum team, and then we've had other people that we're hiring. So the question is why are these specifically needed as opposed to getting those supports from the positions that were already created?
Good evening, Board. So these 4 interventionist positions, number 1 was a request from Principal Petty and his team based on the needs. Another piece is these interventionists will actually lead an intervention class. So they'll use Read 180 curriculum, which is an intervention program actually used at the middle school, and Math 180. So they'll actually be in a class where students come to them and get support. That is a difference between where Mrs. Saylor, Krista, and Nicole Marshall are actually pushing into classes, coaching teachers, supporting small groups of students in the class, modeling lessons, providing PD, where these interventionists will actually have a space where they'll stay, and those students who need support, that Tier 2 support, will come to them. So that's the difference between the two.
So this is kind of like a resource hour,
Yes,
or, I mean,
Like
for
intervention and-
for math,
yes.
okay, and okay. I'm sorry, I had one more question. Okay, the other question I've been asked is, as we create these new positions, but we still have a lot of EduStaff subs working in classrooms, does that create part of the reason why these interventionalists are needed, because we're not providing certified teachers in core content areas?
I want to make sure I answer that. Not get set up, but I want to answer.
Right. And that's not exactly how it was worded, but that was yeah.
So,
I'm just trying to figure out the question.
Okay, so what we're saying is, what I've been asked is we create new positions and fill them, but we still have so many EduStaff subs working who aren't certified teachers, and would reading and math issues take care of themselves, or if we focused on certified teachers in classrooms as opposed to keep adding extra support positions?
We made a concerted effort not to have substitutes in our classrooms. I mean, I'll be glad to get you the number. I don't know offhand, but I truly cannot. That doesn't mean that I know for a fact, but I'm like, I can't think of so many. I'm like, we made a concerted effort to make certain that all of our students had a certified teacher. And we were actually talking about that today because it's going to be an issue at one of our schools. But we have made a concerted effort. So when you say that, I'm sitting here thinking, well, who's not certified? I mean, I'm sure there are a few, without a doubt.
Madam
There is a
President.
concerted effort to make certain that, no, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, there's a concerted effort, but I don't know how many, and I wouldn't say there's a lot. But that's all based on somebody's perspective, what a lot is.
Just from being around education and certified teachers and all of that, if we had everyone in the building certified, you can't have too many interventionists, because they're gonna support the teachers, take some of the load off, and be able to dive in with the needs of the students. So I feel like it's a great thing.
I would
Agreed.
certainly add, I mean, not to your experiences, but I've had, as a principal, we had Read 180 and what was the other one? Read 180 and Math 180. We used it as an elective. Kids didn't, they had to use it as they didn't want to be in there, but they're in there for a reason, and there's a curriculum that they follow and things like that. So, of course, I would not like to have an interventionist. I mean, I would love our achievement to be at the highest level where you don't need those, but you still have kids that fall between the cracks, for sure. So let's leave it like that.
So I'll just speak to the data, a sneak peek. I'm looking forward to our next board meeting where Mr. Rourke and the TLP team reports to you all on our data, comparing our fall NWEA to our winter NWEA. But another data point, and I'll definitely be glad to share it with you, there's a study that compares teachers who receive coaching or support from interventionists compared to teachers who don't.
Right.
And there's a vast difference, like the data, the student support, the parent buy-in, because you have that extra support and expertise in the classroom and the school. So there's definitely evidence to support the need, as was mentioned here, of interventionists, coaches, in order to work on the district's data as a whole and move us forward. And that's what we are doing right now in Romulus.
And that's why I said about the resource hour, because that's an elective that they can take that hour as an elective and get specialized support, so.
And we'll
that's
work with
good.
Principal Petty and his team to make sure it looks like how they expect it to look. Because again, this is the high schools initiative, not TOP or HR or central office. It's the high schools request, and we received it. So we hope that you all vote for it. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we get a roll call vote, please?
Davis,
Yes.
Piles, yes. McCarthy,
Yes.
Laster,
Yes.
Wester,
Yes.
motion carries.
I just want to add something real fast to what Mr. Brock said about that. We're going to be coming in front of you again with the CTE. I was at the superintendent's meeting on Friday, and we discussed, it was amazing that the pilots are going to increase in 3% in the next, I don't know, 3 years. I think next 3 years, there's going to be a 3% increase in pilots. And there's a program now that they're trying to work with Wayne Risa. Wayne Risa is trying to, all of our superintendents or all of our districts are trying to work with, I don't know the name of I don't know who it is right now, but they are considering waiving a bachelor's degree to be a pilot. I don't know how I feel about that, but I was like, okay, but I don't know. But I mean, come on, this is, our mascot is named Flight. We're in this community. So we need somebody who knows CTE to be at those meetings. I know Belleville's going to be there. I mean, I can go through all the districts that are going to be there because everybody wants in. Everybody wants in how to have a CTE program that works toward getting our kids' pilot's license. Mr. Brock has his pilot's license too. We had that conversation. I know, MacGyver.
That's good information. Trustee Laster, would you like to read the next motion, please? I thought she had it over. There you go. We got you. Yes, ma'am.
Reading's fundamental. Recommended motion, move that the Board of Education approves the creation of a math interventionist position for Romulus High School for the 2023-2024 school year. Motion 24-023, rationale, personnel recommendation, budget implications, 21H. Keep going. 11-1240-013-000-213-4.
Just no numbers, just the.
Oh, RAG 31A 21H, exhibits, job description.
Support.
We have a motion. We have a motion by Laster, supported by McCarthy. Any discussion? Roll call vote.
Laster,
Yes.
McCarthy,
Yes.
Piles, yes. Davis,
Yes.
Wester,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. Are you doing an FYI for the finance department? Report of the finance department, we just have an FYI.
She has January
January financials.
But I'd like to address something real fast. And it's to Secretary Powles, because you made you asked Dr. Gistinger some questions about next year and moving monies and things like that. You asked her some questions. They were legitimate questions. But what we have, or I can tell you what I've noticed, and I'm going to be very humble saying this, is that we have a grants person who is instructing me and my cabinet and telling us how to do things so that we we use some ESSER funds to offset some things so that we could take those funds and put it into our fund equity. So when we brought it up to Dr. Gestinger, she's like, oh, we haven't, so my point is, I'm getting this hand to talk to this hand so that we can, because I was troubling what I heard last week. I was troubled. I'm like, I had just asked that question that day. Let's make sure that we don't have, so after that meeting, we met again, and Mr. Mark Graham is going to be meeting in our cabinet meetings every Monday. He has not been a part, we didn't invite him. But he's going to be there every Monday now for our cabinet meetings with Dr. Gistinger, so everybody is on the same page, because I am of the understanding that our fund equity is going to increase because of the moves that were suggested to us by our grant person. Our grant, Mr. Mark Graham told us, if we do this, we'll be able to supplement, we'll put the money here, I guess supplant in that case, and we'll then take the money that we were going to use, and at the end of the year, we'll put that into our fund equity. I'll explain it a little bit later, but I'm excited that I'm going to have two people that, to me, have not been doing a great job talking. Not throwing anybody out on a bus, am I? I don't think so, unless it's me. That I'm having the grant person and our finance person talk about making certain that there's no surprises. I don't want any
Yeah,
surprises.
thank you for that. Could we invite Mr. Graham to a board meeting?
Oh,
too?
we already did. We told him we want
To
him to
give
do a
us that?
presentation. No, we want
Yeah.
a presentation.
Because
He said
that,
he's
yeah, that would be
available to
good
do
to
it.
know. Because I know our question, I know what you're talking about now. The question for Maria was, we have 4.2.
Yes, that was it. I was blown
4.2
over.
million of reoccurring expenses in ESSER 3, but we only have 3.1
I was
in fund balance.
blown-
So what do we do?
I was
Right.
blown over, okay? So it's
that would be
addressed.
good to hear,
But we will
'cause-
get we talked to Mr. Graham and said, we think he needs to come in front of you too. So I will make that happen. It won't be the next board meeting because I think we have the TLP is doing a presentation. But in March, I'll make sure Mr. Graham gets to us.
Thank you for that.
Yes, and thank you because quite honestly, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. We have the report of the board subcommittees.
The policy committee will be meeting in March. I will set a date and send it out to the community members, the board, and the committee in general. That's all that I have for now.
Thank you.
I have a question for Policy Committee, I'm sorry. This is something I didn't realize, and I just learned this today, but our wellness policy, and not just like board policy, but where we have an assessment where stakeholders come together, teachers, parents, is supposed to be revisited, I think, every 3 years. And I'm telling you because I don't know when the last time we did that was, so I just want to throw that out there to you.
Thank you, Secretary Powles. I would like some more information on it. And get a moment.
Thank you. Moving on.
Madam President, both HR Subcommittee and Finance Subcommittee met. I won't steal Dr. Gistinger's thunder, so I'll let her kind of share some things that we went over, but the whole goal for both of them, HR and Finance, is to kind of streamline where we can get our questions, board members, answered, and we can work collaboratively where we don't have a repeat of the last board meeting where it was a lot of airtime, where some of that stuff could have been taken care of, where we can just work as a subcommittee with the board and questions are being answered. Other things that were discussed too was just kind of like the board lane versus the questions being asked versus respective of time for the questions that have to be answered and the information that has to be received to be given back to board members. A takeaway that I'll give for the finance is we want to build on a calendar, so when there's things coming up, like let's just say tax day or this or that, the board knows that these things are coming up, so it's not a surprise that May 19th is this day, or we have to have the pupil, whatever it is. So it's a kind of a transparent thing where we just don't have any surprises and we kind of are working together. And then HR Subcommittee, there was a lot of questions submitted. I'm not even gonna hold you up, I'm sorry. And I did see them, but we're still working on funneling through and trying to find a process to get those questions answered, and making sure that we just work collaboratively, because it just seems like if we can get it right, it won't be a lot of the back and forth, and we won't seem like, well, this person is trying to get this person and this person is trying to shock this person. We all are working together, if that makes any sense. Thank you.
No, thank you, ladies. Report of the board president. I just want to say thank you to both of you for the information, especially Trustee Laster with the handling of the HR and the finances committees, because like you said, we have a lot, we are inundated with questions, and really, if we can streamline it, and remember, you know, if we get to work, there was a working document at one point to make sure if that was in our lane or in our preview, because sometimes we do kind of cross over, but we want to make sure that we're doing things decent and in order. Also, and with no surprises at the table. Wonderful presentation by Mr. Niedermeyer and Ms. Saylor on our STEAM Academy, to see that the numbers are going up from the reading as well as the math. Just looking forward to that program growing and, you know, really, like you say, starting with our elementary to get a feeder, to be able to matriculate through. This is what we need. This is why we have to work together as a team. You know, making sure we have that open line of communication. Like Dr. Edmondson said, sometimes we don't agree with our principals. We have that rough time, but making sure we follow the chain of command, and sometimes taking that 24 hours to take a breather, we just come back and say, hey, I looked at this the wrong way. How can we work together to move everything forward as a whole? So just making sure we keep up with that, and our lines of communication as well as a board. I just want to thank the team as a whole, Dr. Edmondson, the administration, all our staff, teachers, custodians. We work together. Our security, you know, our children. This is that village, and it doesn't matter what type of job a person holds. These kids look up to you for respect. And, you know, they may not have that person at home, but they may come over to the custodian and talk about this, that, and other. That's that other parent figure there, because we are that community. We've gotten away from that, but we need to bring that back home and home it again. So I want to thank all the parents and visitors that came out tonight. It's good to see your faces here.
Do you have a date for our workshop? Have you gotten a date yet for that? For our governance, I'm sorry, governance?
It's going to be March the 4th.
Okay. It's a Monday?
That's Monday. It'll be at our regular time, 6 p.m.
Okay, thank you.
I was trying for this month, but all the dates wound up being mid-winter break.
Too much.
Yeah.
Too much.
Yeah, it is. Trustee Laster, did you have anything?
Thank you.
Yeah, just, you kind of covered everything. Thank you to the parents for being vested in the front row, whether it is sometimes harsh to take, because we are humans sitting up here, so sometimes comments sting like, ooh, I mean, I care. I definitely want our schools to be safe. I'm sending my prized possession in there, but I'm working. I'm not that saved yet. I'm working, but just know that I care. I answer emails. I answer phone calls. I like to work collaboratively. I'm very transparent. I'm very open, and I try to come to everything that I can in the community. And I just want to thank Dr. Edmondson for your leadership, your team, and I really want to give a shout out to the ambassadors as well. We have one sitting here, but you guys are like the unseen and seen heroes of the school. People may think we don't have security, but we have security that have relationships with those kids. They see the invisible backpacks that come in. They are the SEL. They are everything in that school. Yeah, we may need some more training and support, but what building doesn't? What corporation doesn't? So thank you for all that you guys do, and thank you for everybody that comes out, and hopefully we can get everybody home for dinner.
Treasurer Davis? Thank you. Secretary Piles?
Yeah, I ditto what Ms. Laster said. We do have security in our buildings. We have not just bodies, but individuals who are invested in our students in our district, in our community. And, I mean, safety is a real concern everywhere, and so we want to take advantage of other districts' learning curves and improve here before we have a situation. So when we talk about safety and security, it's not because we don't have it, but because we want to improve on what we have and make sure that everybody gets the full training and that we are cohesive in a district on that. So thank you, Trustee Laster, for bringing that up. One question I have, and not for tonight, but it's the applications for the summer food program, the Meet Up and Eat Up, will be open in March, and I know in the past we haven't got on that in time, so I'm just wondering if, one, we could hear from Chartwells to just hear how things have gone this year, and two, find out if that's something they they plan on operating not just for summer school, but for all children 18 and under who live in Romulus. And I really appreciated that STEAM presentation tonight. But to hear that 91% are likely to send their seventh grader back if we have it, and 52% will go elsewhere if we don't, I wonder how that translates to just our overall enrollment. How many would stay at RMS or at RCS if we had it, if that was our middle school model? Or how many would not leave if it was available to their child? So, and the small class sizes, we know it, right? So we just bring all that up for consideration, but especially the summer food program, if we could maybe get on that. That's it.
Vice President McCarthy.
Eagle Nation, thank you. It's a great day to be an Eagle. I just want to give a special shout out to our STEAM program. I really love what it's doing for our district and the type of students and families that it's attracting. I can tell you firsthand that I brag about our district. I tell them that we have a superintendent who's hands-on and willing to get involved. I tell them that we have STEAM Academy and it's top-notch. And I also want to give a special shout-out to Dr. Gardner, who took the time to meet with one of my student athletes' parents who consistently asks me about college readiness programs that we have at Romulus. And I appreciate her for taking time out of her day to sit down and be transparent with the parent and let her know everything that we had in the making, everything that we currently had. She even took the time to get a counselor on the phone to speak with the parent as well. And I respect a leader who is willing to get in the trenches with you and roll their sleeves up and be just as invested in the program as you are. So thank you, Dr. Gardner, so much. That's all I have.
Dr. Eve?
All right, thank you. You can keep that one sometime. You can keep on. That's right. So just what Vice President Boss said to me, I just said, we're not doing enough marketing what we do. There are a lot of good things that are happening in the district, and at least people are finding out word of mouth. Of course, we have some commercials and things like that. We have some other things that are coming up, but we need to continue marketing the things that are positive. Things that are negative, you don't have to go out and call the news on your own district. You don't do those things. There's a way to deal with it, particularly when you live in a district. When you call the news, it hurts your district. It hurts your property value. It hurts everything. So there's a way to do those things, but I'm going to stay positive. We have to find better ways to continue to market the things that we're doing. That's one. Two, we're going to have a board meeting workshop, I think, on school of choice. Okay, and we really need to talk about that. What that looks like. Do you want to expand? If you expand, there's some things that once you get them, they're yours. Now, there's no saying, oh, go back to your home school. There's none of that talk. When you get them, you own them. For lack of a better term, they're yours. So you have to think about that. And there's, once you open it, you can't ask for discipline. And as for discipline records, you got to just go with the grades. So we're going to have that conversation with the board, and you're going to have information at hand. We'll have Kathy Andrews, I believe, that's working on that one with us. So it's I don't know if it might be a workshop. I don't know if it's a workshop, but I just want us all to be knowledgeable, okay, on what our choices will be. So, and the last thing that I'd like to say, one of the most important is congratulations to our volunteer here, Coach McCarthy, for 100 wins in girls basketball. I enjoy coming. I always say leadership matters. It does. There's things that you see when there's leadership. There's things that you can't deny. And that's because you have great leadership. So thank you for your service there and for your service on the board, volunteering on both fronts, even though you get a little stipend, but you're volunteering essentially. And to all our other board members too, thank you for your service. We sit up here, we go at it and take bullets, all of us. Okay, nobody withstands them here. So, we do better if we get along and we work together and figure this thing out. I'm going to say that every time until it looks like we are. So have a great day. Y'all have a closed session, and I'll be thinking about you. No, I'm good. Appreciate it.
Can I get a motion for closed session, please?
Move that the Board of Education goes into closed session for the purpose of OMA Section 8H, consideration of material exempt from disclosure, and 8E for the purpose of update from legal counsel on litigation.
Support.
We have a motion by Powell, supported by McCarthy. Roll call vote.
Piles, yes. McCarthy?
Yes.
Laster?
Yes.
Davis?
Yes.
Wester?